As a palate cleanser to the soul-crushing experience of Demon Souls and other Souls-related games, I decided to go back and play some old PS3 games that launched within the first year of the system. And one in particular grabbed my attention for all the reasons you think. Insane boss fights, amazing graphics, scantily clad women, quick time events, and epic combat. That's right, I'm talking about God of War 3. Hold on a second. Oh, damn. Nope, I'm actually talking about Heavenly Sword. That's right, the classic you haven't thought about since 2007. The God of War homage from Ninja Theory, the developer behind classics such as Devil May Cry, Hellblade, and the much lauded Disney Infinity Marvel superheroes. Now, I'm not one to shun a sexy lead character, but the male gaze is particularly strong with this one.
Stand still, there's a spark in your hair.
Get it. Hot stuff coming through.
No, wrong type of gaze. There we go, that's the one. Sexy feminist jabs aside, my experience, nay, my journey with Heavenly Sword has made me realize we need more games willing to push technology to its limits. Technological prowess aside, Heavenly Sword sets out to be an epic story about a scantily clad woman and her powerful sword, all while pulling gameplay elements from several popular franchises. But does it succeed in bringing these all together, or is it just another pretty face that's bad at holding a conversation? Let's find out. Hey guys, Hank here, going back to the buffet for seconds on Heavenly Sword. Honestly, I can't tell if this game wants to be serious, like a God of War type adventure, or if it's trying to be a funny, dark comedy. Let's just listen to the tone of these two clips.
Get lost.
Maybe I'll hit your weak point for massive damage.
Monkey Peaches.
Huh?
The password. It's Monkey Peaches.
Thanks.
I try to call out to him and tell him to stop, but the sword strikes down.
I genuinely enjoy weird stuff, but this didn't do it for me. It's almost like it isn't weird enough or strange enough, and it just has these snack-sized bits of weird.
We may need you to play Twing Twang.
Yes, Noriko. We'll find a place to hide. Won't we?
I think life's all about having fun. What do you say? Hey?
My first thought was, hey, that kind of sounds like Discount Andy Serkis. And one quick trip to Google and oh damn, it is Andy Serkis. Noriko is in a different story altogether. She's living in this epic, dark fantasy storyline with kind of poo-poo writing. And then Andy Gollum over here is doing his random thing as the bad guy. He's bad for reasons.
Kill her.
And then there's Kai, an annoying, trauma-filled feral child that makes a great counterpoint to No Child Left Behind. Like, pick a lane. Also, just look at this group of misfits. You got Sloth, Medusa Fish Reptile Lady, Medieval Psycho Mantis. It's a real who's who of random baddies that don't really do much. If I wanted a weird roster of characters to fight, I might as well just play Clay Fighters.
Here are the combatants for this extravaganza. Blue Suede Goo versus Ichiban Clay.
Hey, what's the hair, man?
I basically glazed over every time I had to listen to a cutscene or a monologue. And there were a lot of monologues and quite a few cutscenes.
While we stage a retreat to the west, then make a break to the eastern, and we must cleanse the king's symbol of his dominance over my clan. And with it.
So what is this game about? On a base level, sure, it's simple enough. Bad guy wants your fancy smashy sword to rule over the land, I guess? I don't know, they really kind of gloss over that thing. What's it called? Oh right, context. From a character perspective, it doesn't fare much better. It uses speeches and monologues in lieu of actual scenes that would provide some kind of character motivation or context. There's that pesky word again. Bohan is the evil king that wants the sword. Okay, well, why is he evil? Why does he want it? How is he connected to the gang of baddies that surround him? I mean, aside from the one fella calling him dad, that feels pretty obvious.
Bohan. A king from a distant country seeks the heavenly sword. He seeks it as a symbol of his dominance over my clan, and with it, his dominance over the land.
Oh, okay, cool. That clears everything up. Did I also mention the story is told out of order for reasons? I guess somebody saw Pulp Fiction, they're like, hey, that's a good idea. Let's do that. If you're going to show us these unique looking characters, at least give us a bit of context on how and why they fit into the story overall. The playtime of the game doesn't help, as an entire playthrough is only about 7 to 8 hours max. We do get a bit of backstory for Kai and Naruko, and a monologue at the beginning of the game telling us about Naruko and the sword. The game does love its monologues and exposition. So Naruko is an outcast amongst her people, as the opening monologue tells us. Daddy hates her because she wasn't a man and she killed mommy during childbirth. Dad thinks her moves are weak.
What has gotten into this family? You're not fam anymore. Yeah, you're not fam anymore. Will you shut the fuck up? Oh, really? Why's that? Because your moves are weak, babe, okay? Yeah, your moves are weak.
Horizon Zero Dawn has a very similar setup with the main character Aloy, but unlike Naruko, we aren't just told about it. So I give the story...
That's 8 grapples!
It's generally poor and fairly uninspired, and I think we should talk about more practical things. Playing this game nearly 18 years after its initial release is naturally going to reveal some dated ideas, mechanics, etc. But one thing that has aged pretty well, surprisingly, are the graphics. For a game that launched in 2007, I have to commend Ninja Theory on the tech they used to create this game. As a whole package, the art style holds up pretty well, and there's a lot of detail in character models and environments. The limitations of the PS3 VRAM definitely limits the quality of some textures here and there, but overall the world is very well realized and looks really nice. Ninja Theory is also flexing the power of the cell processor. There are tons and tons of enemies on screen at once. Really impressive stuff. And that's usually present throughout the whole playthrough of the game. Even 18 years later, it's still more impressive than a good portion of modern AAA titles. It's a real testament to the power of the system. Just look at this scene from the final encounter. There are hundreds and hundreds of enemies on screen. It really goes a long way to making some of the encounters feel very epic. Like, for real epic. The facial animations are a bit stiff, but looking at this through a 2007 lens, this is impressive stuff. The frame rate, however, is less than stellar. It swings pretty wildly during most of the game and most heavy scenes, and there's a lot of stuttering and hitches. I'm no Digital Foundry, but I would say this is hovering in the mid-20s at best for most of the game. Screen tearing is also especially egregious. It gets quite bad. I thought it was just the capture tool I was using to digitize my footage, but I get loads of screen tearing on my regular TV and my monitor as well. Technically, the game is very solid. Artistically, well, it's a bit of a mixed bag. There's only really one area in the visuals that kind of bothered me. See if you can spot what these images all have in common. Versus this. And thus we arrive back at my original thesis of the male gaze. Again, wrong type of gaze.
Well played.
Sup, Billy?
Joy, Sophia, Maria, Deborah, Natasha, Elizabeth, Ryan, Beth, Maeve, Paola.
Yes, that's the kind. Look, I know that on a deep mechanical level, Naruko's clothing doesn't really affect anything. But come on, let the woman have a jacket at least. To be fair,
To be fair,
a lot of enemies in addition to your buddies are drastically underdressed for the environments they're in. I think the real reason this annoys me though is that they clearly put a lot of time and effort into Naruko's character model and her animation. While Crew by today's standards, her hair simulation is pretty wild, and you know that they spent a ton of time tuning that and making it the best that it could be. It reminds me of the movie Cliffhanger. I love that movie, but it too annoys the hell out of me in that the characters just shrug off hypothermia like it's not a thing, and like it's not a part of the environment or the story. Those details matter when you're trying to sell the world and sell the characters within it. But let's move on to another big gripe I have with this game. Take a listen to the opening cutscene of the game.
My clan believed this sword was forged in heaven for a deity. No mortal may wield it in battle without its power draining their life. The clan's duty is to protect the sacred weapon. Even in our darkest moments, the sword was never to be used.
Notice anything? Or rather, a lack of something? Like Naruko's clothing, the audio mix in this game is barely there. I don't know if this is a budget issue or if it's a stylistic choice, but the audio environment just sounds very empty. It's not bad per se, but it really feels like a missed opportunity. The sound design throughout the game is a resounding fine. You know, it's got all the expected clangs and clunks and thunks for swordplay, but none of it really impresses or stands out in any way. And the audio mix definitely doesn't draw any attention to the sound work. In fact, it seems to actively force it into the background or get rid of it altogether. It just seems like an odd choice and makes scenes like this, where you're amongst a huge crowd of people, feel almost as if you're not fully part of the environment. Perhaps this is a learned set of skills for Ninja Theory, because they definitely know how to use audio well currently. I.e. Hellblade.
You cannot escape this waking nightmare. Do you still hear his screams?
she's scared. You destroyed everything.
All in all, the audio is pretty half-baked, and while it's important for immersion, it's not quite as important as the controls of the game, which features some truly baffling choices and some really, really awful designs, complemented with some really good design. Since I'm playing this in 2025, most of my PS3 controllers are either broken or suffering from the world's most egregious stick drift. There are a lot of sections that use the 6-axis motion controller for aiming and for control. And the 6-axis was pretty spotty at best, so using it for gameplay of any kind sucked in 2007, and it still sucks in 2025. When it works, it's great. When it doesn't, well... And my modern gamer brain really wanted the right stick to orbit the camera around my character, but instead it's mapped to your dodge roll. That's fine, but sadly there's no way to move the camera around your character to orient your view better. Instead it has this completely useless camera pan. It feels like a very half-baked implementation that sounded better on paper. And to be fair, this game wasn't designed to look in all directions, so you know, I get that. And oh, hold on, we're getting breaking news. Let's go live to the news desk. We have just learned that apparently you can look in all directions, but only while playing with that god-awful feral child Kai and her sections of the game. We'll stay with this story as it develops. And now, back to Hank and his review. So it is technically feasible within this engine to look around anywhere you'd like, and the levels are clearly designed for that, yet you can't do it. Instead, they've opted for this weird semi-Resident Evil style static camera / not static camera approach to it. Again, another bizarre choice. These bizarre choices are starting to stack up. The game utilizes different stances to counter different attacks. Additionally, it has a bunch of different combos within each stance you can do, but realistically, I almost never left the power stance. You hit so much harder and hit multiple enemies at once, there isn't really much advantage to using the others, aside from special scenarios like blocking arrows or cutting through a boss attack. Now you can counter attacks based on your stance, but I found the timing windows to be so incredibly short that I was never able to fully utilize this function, and I didn't really need to. I played through 90% of the game without ever using the counterattack. I say 90% because the final boss was really handing me my ass until I remembered that I should be countering his attacks. Otherwise the fight takes way longer, and I spent way too much time banging my head against the wall until I remembered that I need to be playing the game this way. So it ends up just being a button mash marathon, which I'm totally here for. But the worst part, and I mean the absolute worst part of this gameplay, is any segment featuring Kai. These are all long range bow section, and aiming feels like a cat's butthole. You can't move in precise increments, and the only way to really get these done is by using the special arrow flight time, which is controlled by the 6-axis motion controller. Listen folks, the 6-axis motion control was total ass in 2005 when it launched with the PS3, and it has aged like a fine bag of milk, is what I would be saying if I hadn't discovered that you could turn the 6-axis control off in the game. And hallelujah. I did in fact figure this out far too late in my playthrough though, so it made for some very frustrating encounters. But I can't hold it against the game because you do have the option to turn it off, and it did make these sections very trivial once you did. For all the shit I've been talking about this game, it really does have a lot of really cool elements. There are moments when it looks stunning, or the technical feats really pull it all together, and I smile and think, wow, I wonder how long it will be before I hate this again. Heavenly Sword borrows from God of War for a lot of its gameplay and design, but it doesn't do most of those elements very well. There are loads of QuickTime events throughout the game, but the window for timing is so short that it's almost non-existent. QuickTime events are supposed to be timing based, yes, but let's be real here, it's just a simple way to add interactivity to a cutscene. So why bother if they're going to be this badly implemented? QuickTime events don't really add anything to any game. I would say they're even pointless in God of War. I'm not really sure what the reason was for having QuickTime events in this game. They're used very infrequently. I enjoyed my time with Heavenly Sword, I think. I don't know, it's a bit of a blur at this point. Every element of this game has some kind of issue with it, which then makes the whole experience a bit of a mixed bag and kind of rough overall. It's definitely not a terrible game, but it's not a great game either. I'm not really sure where I stand with this. It's a game I played and now it's done, and I don't think I'm ever going to go back to this. I would actually welcome a remake of Heavenly Sword. The game has the foundation for something amazing. It's just held down by odd choices and its time of creation. If you didn't play it when it came out, you didn't miss much. Go play God of War instead, you'll have a lot more fun. So is Heavenly Sword a pretty face that just can't hold up a conversation? Yes, I'd say it is. So those are my thoughts on Heavenly Sword. Do you agree with my assessment? Is Heavenly Sword a flawed game? Or is Heavenly Sword your favorite game? Let us know in the comments. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. And if you liked the video and want to see more, hit the thumbs up. And if you like what we're doing here and you think that we make neat stuff, consider subscribing so that Levi and I can put our evil plan into action. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.